Some people's worldviews are based off of news headlines or things they've been told on TV shows, movies. They don't really think for themselves a lot of the time. There's not a lot of independent thinkers nowadays. And you can tell an independent thinker and a free soul when you are around them because you yourself feel free. Your energy is free, even though if what they're saying is not necessarily something that you can correlate with or relate to, you still feel like there's this sense of freeness and sovereignty to it. But these people that are out and about that are going to watch you, because they will watch you and they will watch you carefully. They might not even say anything. And if you try to talk to them, they're going to try to just figure out who you are. They're not trying to figure out who you are because they want to get to know you. They want to figure out who you are because they want to know your weaknesses. They want to know, is this person really who they say they are? Is she really who she says she is? Is he really who he says he is? And how can we exploit these people in the most profound ways possible so that we can expedite their uh, animosity toward life itself? Like, it's just, people will go and do crazy things because they're bored. Okay, people are going to watch you. Let them stare. Let them stare. Let them misunderstand you. These people are not going to be the kinds of people that you want to rock with anyway. Because if these people are going to judge you, and I actually don't think there's anything wrong with making judgments. I'm not saying you should judge people, but I don't think there's anything wrong with making judgments about a situation and then acting accordingly. Because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to really have the discernment to move properly. But you have to understand that the more you level up in your own life, the more that you are demonstrating results, the more there are going to be people that love you, and the more that there are going to be people that hate you. And they might stare and misunderstand you one and the same. The people that love you might continue to just, like, what is that person doing? But they still have this awe and respect for you. Whereas then you have the flip side, they might misunderstand you, but then they'll just try to, go and attack you, whether it's through character assassination, whether it's through manipulation, twisting your words, etc. And you just have to have a smile on your face while all this stuff is happening, because I know I do. Like, it's can be frustrating sometimes to see people misunderstand you and purposely misunderstand you, but then you realize that you don't have to have your joy restored based off of whether or not somebody is going to try to misunderstand you or not, or trying to twist your words, or going to try to do anything like that, in which people are weird. Obviously. And this is one of the reasons why I stay to myself most of the times in society and in the community physically. Online I have a much more online presence, I suppose you could say. But man, in the physical world, I stick to myself. I'm very watchful. I keep my head on a swivel, and I encourage you all to do the same, because there are some people that are plotting out here. There are some people just waiting and waiting, and they are praying for your downfall. And when I say they're praying for their downfall, they're praying to their false gods, their idols, just themselves even. They just hope that they can themselves manipulate you or your image in a way where things will just make it seem like they are not as they seem. But people that understand you, or at least want to understand you, are going to want to see who you are based off of your true identity. And they're not going to try to twist your words. They may disagree with you, some of them, sure, but they're not going to try to intentionally cause disruption or chaos. Now, will there be things that happen sometimes physical altercations, maybe, maybe not. I've seen people that were friends that got worked up over stuff, but I mean, I think if you have two reasonable people that are rational and reasonable and are walking in spirit and truth, I don't see how it's possible for there to be an escalation of violence or anything like that physically. But with words, that's a completely different story. But the problem is so many times nowadays people take things so personally. Like, stop taking so like, people take these things so personally. And that's why sometimes if you're just being who you are, these people will take that personally. They'll be like, oh, pff, oh, look at her. Oh, look at him. He's just being who he is. I mean, you can't make this up, but it's true. That's what some people will do. And they'll continue to watch you even though they hate you, some of them. It's hilarious. I cannot tell you how many people, like even 2 years ago in my YouTube channel, and when I started my YouTube channel over 2 years ago now, I've had people, haters from 2 years ago, that sometimes drop comments in, and I'm just like, I mean, they haven't said anything explicitly against my character or anything, but they're just like, because otherwise I would just block them, and I don't like doing that. I don't delete comments. I don't delete anybody or block anybody just because. It has to be like a continual personal attack, or like when I see a book where where people write like a book and they expect me to like listen to them bash on my character for a book wise, and it's kind of funny, and so I just block them at that point. But if there's a reasonable thing to bring up as far as a critique or anything, I'm completely open to it. But these people, some of them are just determined to understand or misunderstand you. Some of them are determined to understand you, absolutely. But there's going to be a lot that are determined to misunderstand you, and those are the kinds of people that you want to steer clear from no matter what. And the people that are plotting out here, trying to take you out, because there are people that will gang stalk you. There are narcissists that will do a smear campaign against you. It can be really crazy. And that's one of the reasons why it's such a blessing to be able to live in a sovereign place and state of mind, is you just feel a lot more detached from the physical. And it's not because you necessarily want to be detached, and it's not because you're apathetic. It's just that you realize, okay, here is the sophistication of how I ought to move in the world and why I ought to move in this way, because people be plotting. people are a little crazy sometimes, and some people will do whatever they can and whatever they want. Like some of these narcissists out here can be relentless. And I've seen women in my life too that are relentless as well. Like the lengths that some women will go to make it seem like they want you just to have the ability to reject you is insane sometimes. It doesn't happen anymore, but in the past there were times where for sure I had women that were giving me all this attention and trying to seduce me and all that, and then as soon as I was making a move, they oh no, never mind, I'm actually in a relationship. Okay, really? Because you're the one that came on to me, woman. And if it's a test, like there have been times where I thought, okay, maybe this is just a test, maybe this is just a woman that's trying to test to see what I'll do. And so I would say, like, okay, well, if you're in a relationship, then we're not compatible. All right, thanks, bye. Something along those lines. Have compassion for you, but it's not the same. Yeah. All right, no worries. And they'll be so confused. They'll be so confused on why this happens. And then you gotta, like, I've even talked to women that I knew in the past as, I wouldn't say they were friends necessarily, but I never saw them as somebody I would date. And so they would talk to me, and they'd be like, well, I was talking to this guy, and I thought if I played hard to get, there'd be something more. But because she would be staring at this guy, she told me she'd be staring at this guy, trying to get him to come after her. And then once he did, she said no. And she's now confused. And she's like, well, what did I, like, what happened? Like, why isn't he trying harder? And I was like, I was telling this woman, uh, why should he pursue you more? You're the one that was staring at him. And then when he finally had the balls to approach you, you said no. So what is a guy supposed to do? Like, you want him to? I thought no means no, because you hear that a lot over the past decade. No means no, and then when women say no, and we accept it as men, then they're confused. It's hilarious, great stuff. But the whole point here is that sometimes people in life are going to be determined to make sure that your life is a living hell. Because I've literally had women tell me that they're going to try to sabotage my life. Why? Because I rejected them. I've had women that tried to put me in jail because I rejected them. And these are women that will watch your life, they will stalk you. And a lot of men think to themselves that have never had this happen to them before. They're like, oh, well, a woman wouldn't do that. A woman wouldn't do that. She's too, she's an angel. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You see, it's funny because most men that say that kind of stuff don't have a backbone, and that's just the truth. But then as soon as you get a backbone as a man, and as soon as you won't tolerate stuff, and you start to like reject more women than you're actually accepting into your life, that's when things really start to change. And man, some of these women out here are wacko when that kind of stuff happens because their ego takes a big hit. And men can get pretty wacko too and creepy. But I don't see it happen nearly as much anymore. And I don't know if it's just because I've gotten to the point now to where I'm just so sexy that it hurts. But I mean, I just don't see it happening as much with men being creepy as women. Women are very creepy. They just know how to hide it better. That's all that it is. Women know how to hide their creepiness better unless it's a man that is actually valuable. That's what I've come to understand. And that's why so many men, like 80 to 90% of the men in the world, think that women are just not as creepy like that. Oh, they can be just as creepy, if not more so. Like, I've got stories, and anybody that's been on my channel for more than a couple months has probably heard some of these stories in the past. So, yeah, it can be pretty insane. But these weirdos that are trying to, figure you out and all that stuff, let them stare. Who gives a crap? The people that actually admire you and respect you, there's nothing wrong with that. I have nothing wrong or no quarrel with people that are admiring me and respecting me and staring at me in that way. It gets just kind of weird though when, like, there were some men, like, during the fast, the 3-day fast this last weekend, one day when I went to the gym, it was Sunday, I think, actually, just a few days ago. It was the third day. At the gym, all of the men were like staring at me with their jaws dropped for some reason. And the women looked super sad. I don't know why. It seemed like the energy that I was getting was that they were sad that I wasn't talking to them. But that's just how I am in the community. I just don't talk to people because I know what people are like, and I'm there to do a job. I'm there to work out. I'm not there to just filly diddly daddle around. I'm there to actually do something. I'm there to accomplish something. And that's just the way that I move. I'm not telling anybody that you should move like that. But if people are staring at you and trying to misunderstand you, or they're watching your content, or they're watching the things that you do, and they're spreading rumors. PR, any kind of PR is good PR, right? Is it, what is it? Yeah, that's the term, right? So I mean, at this point, I've had people reach out to me as well with other content creators that are going through my stuff, and it's pretty funny, man. Some of these people just clearly haven't done their research, just clearly have not done watched a whole video and followed through with any kind of the research. It's really funny what lengths people will go to try to make it seem like you're not who you are. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. And we're going to be leveling up and elevating no matter where and what we're doing. Because we're maturating in our souls here on this channel. We're not just trying to say stuff to sound good. We're actually trying to seek the truth. We're actually trying to determine the best course of action for the longevity of our lives and our souls specifically. So with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. If you do want to join a godly community, check out the free Discord, the channel that we have. The link is in the description box below. We have a few free resources there, as well as the paid community, where we have a bunch of classes and 2 weekly Bible studies now, as well as a weekly Regal assembly call, which is a basic group call where we talk about anything and everything. We are also going to be starting the Art of War class series next weekend. December 21st, I believe, is the date. I just posted about it in my YouTube community post earlier today. So if you're interested in that, in the paid community, that's where that's going to happen. Not in the free Discord, in the paid community. And the reason for that is because there's actually going to be weekly tasks, and we're going to be reading Sun Tzu's Art of War. And man, I'm super excited for that. Been working on it for a couple weeks now. Nearly a few weeks actually, but super stoked for it because it's not just about military. It's about actually understanding how to move and maneuver in your own life spiritually when you're going through spiritual attacks and such. You can interpret it like that. So I also want to appreciate everybody moving from YouTube over to the X and Rumble platforms, specifically with X, because I genuinely think X is going to be the next big thing in the next couple years. So I want to really make sure that if you are enjoying this content and wanting to support, not just liking and commenting that you can do here for free on the videos, but also following me on X. And with all that being said, peace be with you all. Till next time.